Alright, I'm back. So, since we now have Green Yoshi, let's become Green Yoshi. There we go. I always said I wanted to play as Green Yoshi, but I didn't know. I thought you have to do something like... Excuse me. Like, you have to get the yarns, but... Apparently, you just have to defeat Baby Bowser. Alright, so let's talk about, like, one thing, and it's that... You know how I was talking about my ancestry and stuff and everything? The other thing I like to mention is that one thing I was really happy with the results is it shows that I do have on my father's side like pure Syrian blood or Lebanese, you know, my ancestors came from the Levant region, which is an ancient region where, you know, Christianity and Judaism kind of flourished. Judaism, I would say, you know, in the Israeli region, but also Christianity in the Levant region. You know, not a whole lot, but because like obviously Christianity flourished when the Romans implemented it. You know, when they permitted it. But yeah, so it's like my ancestry consists of like ancient, you know, like from the ancient world where Christianity was born. I'm really happy, you know, about that. And I actually do value, like, you know, my ancestral country, like, you know, Syria, like, I actually really love, you know, Syria. You know how I always talk about how some stuff, like, reminds me of Syria, because, bear in mind, you know how I said about the music in some games, or, like, the environments, like, the desert environments? Every time there's, like, an Egyptian or desert environment, I always think of Syria, even though, like... I say Paper Mario, you know the second world where you go into the desert? Obviously that's supposed to be Egypt, the desert thing, but I always fucking associate it with Syria because it's like desert and Middle Eastern and stuff. Because, you know, when I was a kid, you know, when I was young, I was taken to Syria back in the 90s. Like, I don't know, I think either 1998 or 1999 was when my mom brought me to that country, you know, because one, she wanted to visit her parents, and also because she needed to get a nose job, because yeah, my mom, her nose isn't really her actual real nose, it's just like been sculpted because it's that Armenian genetics that was in her. It gave her that, like, you know, kind of nose that she didn't like. Honestly, it looked fine on her. I didn't know why she had to change it, but she changed it. So she went to this, like, plastic surgeon or something in Syria. It's like, and he's considered, like, one of the best. And, oh, fuck. Okay, yeah. And, of course, he did a fantastic job on her nose and everything, but that's why she kind of brought me to Syria in the first place, just so she could do the operation. And then that's when I met my two uncles and my grandparents, and my mom's parents also. Of course, I've seen my mom's parents when, ever since I was a baby, but I didn't remember. So my earliest memories of them was when I went to Syria back in 1998 or 1999. That's when I first met my two grandparents. I didn't know who they were at first. I knew my dad's parents because they were with me and stuff. Bear in mind, I didn't know about grandparents and stuff. I just knew that they were people like there and they loved me and stuff. And they also love me, you know. Oh my god, I love that. Like my grandfather always, like, you know, if you want to know what I call my grandfather, I call him, there's an Arabic term for my grandparents. The Arabic for grandpa is jiddo, and for grandma it's teta, and I always call them that. I never call them grandma or grandpa. I always call them teta or jiddo because that's how I was raised on, you know? Even I still to this day I call both my parents, you know, mama and baba, which is the Arabic term for mom and dad. I still do. My brother, on the other hand, he always calls them mom and dad, like, to this day. Honestly, I never give that, because they taught me that stuff, you know, when I was young, about what to call them. And to this day, even as an adult, I still call them that. Of course, if I was interacting with other people and I want to talk about my parents, even to you guys, I always call them my mom and my dad. I don't call them mama and baba, because they're going to be like, what the fuck is a mama? Well, they know a mama, but they don't know a baba, you know? Yeah, they'd be like, what the fuck are you saying? You know, it's kind of weird, you know? But, I mean, although I do know, like, African Americans, they do call their own moms, like, mama and stuff, don't they? I think. But, I mean, yeah, so it's like, everyone knows what mama is, but you know, I still refer to them as mom and dad if I'm next to English speakers or any other people, but, you know. Of course, if I'm with my cousins and stuff or whatever, I always call them mom and baba, because they know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I always call them that, and then I also always call my grandparents Teta and Jiddo, you know? So, so yeah, you know, even though my brother stopped referring to them that name, I still do, you know? Because mom and dad is just so fucking bland, you know? I really don't like calling them that. I want to call them mom and baba because it sounds special. So yeah, I mean, like, it goes to show you that I am a Syrian American. You know, there are like things I talk and things I refer that are Middle Eastern in nature, and definitely not European. You know, so I have special connections with the Levant region and, you know, Syria that I have deep respect for, and, you know, it's just like very special to find out like who you are and you just embrace it. You know, that's why I'm kind of sympathetic to nationalism in a way. Of course, depends on what kind of nationalism. If it's kind of the type of nationalism that ignores human rights and like demonizes different people and stuff, then obviously I'm against it. But if it's a nationalism of like you're proud of your country for the human rights or the Westernism and stuff, or just for how the history of it, then I say that's actually pretty nice. Because like, of course, Syria, you know, even though I love the country Syria, that doesn't mean I would like move there and stay there. Of course, not only because there's a civil war going, but also because like, you know, there's so many like restrictive stuff in that country. And even even as much as I love that, as much as I love Syria, I'm probably never gonna come back to that country, you know, for a while because of the, you know, stuff that's going on and everything, and like even the restrictions on the internet. Like, you know how whenever I travel and stuff, I always go on pornographic websites because that's what I do. And in Syria, you can't do that. Everything is censored. You try doing that, go on a porn website, you'd get arrested. So, you know, you'd have to fucking masturbate, you know, using your own imagination. You can't do anything. And funny thing is that, okay, the last time I visited Syria was in 2010. I was 14 years old at the time, and I still get horny from girls and stuff, but this was before I learned about masturbating. So I never masturbated when I was in Syria. I may get like an erection or something, but eventually, you know, I get through it and stuff, and yeah, so I never masturbate. Now I do, and I can't go to that country without my porn, you know, and I'm not gonna get like download porn on my phone or anything, because if the government finds out, then they would jail me for having like indecent stuff on it. Even though Syria is a secular country, that doesn't mean like stuff like that's permitted. I mean, I know you may think it's like ridiculous why I'm like caring so much about porn. I mean, it's like one of the few things that help me cope in life. Mainly like relieves the pain in my groin and stuff. I don't mean like, I'm not saying when I get horny it hurts, but you know, the uncomfortableness, the stiffness in my nether regions, my neckers, you know? Yeah, so I need that shit in my life, you know? So anyway, yeah, so even though I love Syria, there's a lot of flaws in that country, but even though I still value that nation, and that's why I'm also sympathetic to nationalism, like valuing your country and everything, because it's like, I mean, like, if you like replace every native born with different regions and different people and like with different cultures, then that culture would soon disappear. So hence, I'm very sympathetic with centrist or even right-wing parties in Europe, because they want to preserve their culture. Not every single right-wing party, but I would say some of them. I'm more of a centrist when it comes to Europe and everything, European politics. You know, like obviously if I was in the United Kingdom, I would have definitely voted for the Brexit Party. The Brexit Party was like my first choice in the 2019 general election, but my second choice was Conservative, but of course, you know, had to vote Conservative to keep out Labour and stuff, but you get what I'm saying. And of course, because Conservative, they have a Brexit populist as their head of the party. If they had Theresa May in 2019, then I would have just advised you guys just vote for a Brexit Party. Don't vote for Conservative because Conservatives would have never given on Europe. But of course, because they chose Boris Johnson, that's how they won. If they didn't choose him, then I think it would be a hung parliament, but the Brexit Party would actually be in parliament. You know, so. Yeah, I would have definitely voted for the Brexit Party. And that's the type of right-wing political parties I'm actually tolerant of, you know? Like, say compared to Poland, their right-wing or far right-wing politicians are just like, they're really like, they're the types I would never vote for, you know? Because they're like very theocratic and authoritarian and stuff. Like, and their policies would do more harm to some people, particularly sexual minorities, you know, like the LGBT people. Now, the thing is, though, is that, you know, there was the presidential election in Poland, and the incumbent just won re-election. Honestly, I would have voted for the incumbent. I think his name is, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, obviously I'm not Polish, and I could butcher his name. Is it Andrzej Duda, or Andrzej Duda, or something? I don't know. I would have voted for him, like, you know, in the election, because I know I say that I never vote for candidates that would cause harm to other people, but the thing is, though, is that he's basically just the head of state. He doesn't have much power, but the only powers he has is just vetoing and just being a symbolic head of state. Because, I mean, although, like, I read on Wikipedia, it says Poland is a semi-presidential republic, but is this semi-presidential, or is it, or is it a parliamentary democracy? Because I think it's parliamentary. Because if it's a parliamentary democracy, then voting for the president wouldn't be such a big deal, you know? Like, and hence I would be comfortable voting in for a right-wing or even a far-right candidate because, excuse me, because they wouldn't do much harm to the electorate. I know they have the veto power, but honestly, I want, you know, like some of the conservative policies, particularly against the European Union, to be implemented. Now, the thing is, though, is that if it was the parliament in Poland, I would never vote for the Law and Justice Party. I'd mainly vote for the that one political right-wing party that asked for the election to be postponed. It was in the coalition, and hence they were forced to do it because they said that we won't support this thing, and we want you to postpone it, and they did. I think that's the political party I'd probably vote for. Not like, probably centrist, kind of right-wing, but not too right-wing, you know? And, you know, that's who I would support, not the Law and Justice. So, yeah, if it was in the parliament, I would not vote for any of the far-right candidates. Because their policies, they're kind of equivalent to the constitutionalist party in the United States. Of course, they never get anywhere in politics. But, you know, the paleo-conservative, the extreme conservative types, the ones that I'm not too fond of. That's kind of what they remind me of. But yeah, I would have voted for the incumbent mainly because I'm against the European Union. You know, I want the European Union to be abolished. I was for it back in 2016, and back then, but now I'm against it. I feel like it's primarily responsible for the rise of right-wing politics. And if you want to defeat right-wing politics, you have to abolish the European Union. Especially what they did with the internet, you know? I'm really against that. Then again, we don't have net neutrality, although it hasn't been implemented yet, but I think it will be soon if the courts don't do anything. If somehow Biden gets president, he should do something about this, but I mean, I don't know if he might. I'd be happy if he does something about it, but I don't know. I really doubt it. Anyway. So, yeah, so that's... Oh, yeah, I already got that. So yeah, that's what I feel that nationalism is all about. I feel like it's just preserving your culture, and as bad as the right wing are, they do a really good job with addressing it. However, their main flaws is that them being anti-immigration actually causes, like, you know, when you have low birth rates in your country, how are you gonna get immigrants to supply the workforce. You know, that doesn't make sense. Like their kind of thing of anti-immigration would be harmful for the country in the long term. Now I can understand them being like this if they have a high birth rate, but they don't. So, you know, being anti-immigrant, I'm very much against that. I'm for immigration, of course, reasonable immigration. Kind of similar to the United States in a way. Because we do a really good job with integrating immigrants. Like, you don't see any Muslims that are like extremely conservative and stuff. I mean, our Muslims in the United States are more pro-LGBT than the ones in Europe. That just says something a lot, doesn't it? You know? So that's what I'm saying. You know, we do a good job integrating them. So that's what I'm saying. It has to have some immigration standards like the United States. You know? So yeah. So yeah. So that's what I'm saying, and it's like. I understand, like I said, people valuing their country and being nationalistic. Like, I'll leave a link to this Computing Forever video where Dave Cullen, that's the name of the guy of the who's the head of the channel, you know, he talks about like Ireland and stuff. I mean, of course, ignore the beginning because it's mainly about other stuff, but that's like the only thing I could think of posting it. There are other stuff about it, but you know, that's the only thing I could think of, and I definitely like, you know. Recommend you guys watching it. And also then there's like Stefan Molyneux's documentary on Poland. Of course, that's taken down because his channel is taken down. So, you know, I can't recommend. You just have to find it online. Like, I think it's somewhere, maybe on BitChute, I don't know. It's definitely somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's like someone has archived it or something, you know? So, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, you know? I do value nationalism, and it just has to be like reasonable and like a humanistic type of nationalism, you know? So that's what I'm saying, and it's something that I do value about Syria, like me being Syrian and my ancestry, like, you know, being very close to Christianity and everything. That's what I love about Syria. Same way people love about their country. Of course, I do love, you know, my country. I know I always, like, bash some of the stuff that's happening in the United States, but other than that, honestly, out of all the countries in the world, the United States is kind of, like, the best one for me, in my opinion, because I was raised in this country. And also, like, it mainly depends on the state you're living in. Like, if you live in Vermont, I mean, Vermont's the best state, so, you know, that's a great state to be in. Or Massachusetts. I wouldn't be in Vermont because, like I said, it's too rural. If Vermont wasn't that rural and it was like a worldly kind of state, like worldly city, kind of like Boston, then yeah, I would have definitely moved to Vermont. But it's not. It's mainly rural, so I wouldn't. I'd stick with Massachusetts, you know. So yeah, and that's what I love, like, you know, and that's what I'm saying, you know, about Syria and everything. Just thinking of what I was talking about the United States. You know, yeah, so about, like, how much, like, you know, about my country means a lot to me and stuff, so that's why I was, like, really happy that the cunt Hillary Clinton lost the election, because she would have honestly just destroyed my country and everything that I love about it. Because I do love, you know, Syria, and and by the way, I have deep respect for Bashar al-Assad, you know, the president of Syria, you know, so because of, like, you know, how he protects the Christians and also, like, you know, prevented the country from being destroyed and everything. So I have huge respects for the man. Now that doesn't mean that I want him to stay in power. I do believe that he should step down, but he should step down by the Syrian people, not by the United States government or anything. It should stay out of it. And that's why I was so happy when that piece of shit Hillary Clinton lost the election. And, like, there's this, the Assad must go meme, and it just shows everyone that was against Assad, like, lose their elections and stuff, so it was pretty funny. Including Hillary Clinton. That cunt, that piece of shit bitch lost the election. It was so fucking funny. You know? And I just hope that Assad, you know, isn't taken down like Gaddafi and stuff. Like, 'cause what happened to Gaddafi was just fucking tragic, you know? And I hope it doesn't happen to Assad. So yeah, I mean, I have deep respects for Assad. I actually really love the man, honestly. Like, you know, for what he's done and everything. Like, there's a lot. There's this one video, this badass video of him driving in Syria. I'm gonna leave a link to that. I fucking love that shit. He's a badass. He fucking like beat in a fight all the United States presidents in my lifetime. Like, so like fucking like, you know, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama, even Donald Trump. He beat their ass, honestly, because he's that much of a badass. And he was actually, George Bush was in the military, but I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure. Fucking Assad is even more hardcore than Bush. Bush is a fucking dumbass, so he would definitely beat his ass. Fucking dumbass Bush, can't even speak right. And Assad. There's one comment saying how Assad was like, he speaks better English than George W. Bush, and I was like, fuck yeah, man, he does. It was so fucking funny. Yeah, I mean, I fucking love Assad. That's why I love Tulsi Gabbard, because, you know, she also like, you know, respects Assad. I mean, of course, she is right in calling him a dictator, but sorry if I'm like not like going around, I'm just talking and stuff. But I mean, that's why like Tulsi's my first choice, because she's willing to meet with, you know, foreign leaders and stuff, and like try to you know, reason with them, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know what I was missing. Oh, was I ignoring this? I don't think so. Hold on. So, I'm just gonna concentrate for a bit. Make sure. Oh, okay. I got it. There we go. That's what I was supposed to do. Yeah, that's better. Huh. So yeah, that's why Tulsi's my #1 choice, because of her views on Assad, and also when she stood up to the DNC. Not even Sanders would have done that. I know she endorsed Joe Biden, but then again, you know, whatever. I mean, like I said, no one's perfect, but she was great back before. But it's like if Biden lost the election and 24 rolls around and there's another primary, and if someone besides Tulsi got up in the candidates, throws their hat in the ring for the nomination and is against the DNC and everything, then yeah, then I would support that person over Tulsi. Because at least he or she is against the Democratic Party. You know? So yeah, I've been getting hurt by the bomb. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I love about Syria, you know, the culture and everything, our badass presidents. So that's why. I really fucking hope that Syria remains strong and it doesn't collapse under United States imperialism, whether it be from Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I hope not. I mean, like, it's kind of weird in a way. It's like I thought when Hillary Clinton lost the presidency, I thought that's the imperialism and stuff, like the targeting against Syria is over, like, you know, with Trump being anti-war and stuff, but it turns out not, you know. Apparently, I mean, Trump, he's definitely not as hawkish. He's the least hawkish president in my lifetime, but still, I mean, you know, he's still a hawk in a way. He's the least hawkish, but still a hawk and stuff. So, you know, I mean, at the very least, it's not Hillary Clinton, but I don't really know about Joe Biden. And of course, I looked at a tweet from Glenn Greenwald. He said his foreign policy is going to be just Barack Obama third term, which is bad. But then again, I mean, Hillary would have been worse. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what he's saying is third term. But who knows? It could be probably like Hillary Clinton's foreign policy. I don't know. Maybe. Depends on how things go. But then again, I actually thought Trump was the peace candidate. Turns out he's not entirely, but he's a little bit, but not a whole lot. Fucking had John Bolton as his national security advisor. So, yeah, you know, just goes to show that no one's perfect. But other than that, you know, it's kind of sad in a way. I thought Syria would have been, like, out of the crosshairs, but it's still in the crosshair. Like, I literally thought with Obama's election there would be peace and, like, prosperity, but it turns out it's how painfully ironic that fucking Barack Obama turned out to be even more hawkish than Bill Clinton, even though Obama campaigned as the peace candidate back in the 2008 primary, and it made everyone thought, oh, he's definitely a peaceful kind of candidate, but it turns out he's just as pro-war as anyone else. Not as pro-war as Hillary, though. Like, him invading Libya, the Libyan intervention, him providing weapons to the terrorists in Syria. So he's done a lot of fucked up shit, and it's kind of painfully ironic that that Bill Clinton is more of a peace candidate than Barack Obama. Now, of course, Clinton, like, he did the Kosovo intervention and stuff, and the Yugoslavia intervention, but compared to Obama, he's done much worse. You know, I mean, yeah. Compared to Obama, Obama has done much worse. So you know, yeah. This goes to show that Obama wasn't as peaceful as we thought. But then again, I will say though, he is at least better than Romney, because if Romney would have been president in 2012, that false flag chemical attack that happened in 2013, oh yeah, Romney would have definitely intervened in Syria, no doubt about it. So at least with Obama, he was like, I'm going to intervene in Syria unless I have congressional approval, which gave enough time for Syria to just give up their chemical weapons and avoid being destroyed by the United States. I mean, of course, it still got destroyed by the United States. They still gave weapons to terrorists. And also, they still intervened in Syria. I mean, of course, to fight ISIS, but then again, that's not our fight to do. That's Russia and Syria. But yeah, but Obama, he was bad, but then again, it could have been worse. Now, Hillary would have been fucked up, honestly. So, I was deeply terrified of a Hillary Clinton presidency. I did mention how when I went to that church and I wrote in that book World Peace because I was afraid of the Hillary Clinton presidency. I want to also reiterate, okay, I'm just saying, God didn't like give Trump the presidency because of like, you know, Hillary Clinton and stuff. I mean, like, because of what I wrote in the World Peace. I'm just saying, like, it avoided a potential natural disaster, I would say. As in, like, Hillary losing the presidency, like, her getting sick and everything, like, in 9/11 and everything. I think it definitely contributed. And also the DNC leaks and everything, so... But yeah, I mean... I just want to reiterate, like, God, he doesn't really choose sides, like, on who would be elected. Although he did give a clear sign in 2016... with Bernie Sanders' campaign when that bird landed on his podium. You know, that was a clear sign that we sadly ignored. And it was obviously because it was a sign, because, like, obviously if Hillary Clinton was going to win the presidency, then humanity would have ended in certain destruction, you know? Yeah, and I'm hoping Syria doesn't become destroyed. And another thing is that I also hope is that my uncle, I have another uncle who lives in Syria, and he also has refuge in a Western country. I'm not gonna name him because I want to be completely anonymous. But even though he still like values Syria as his homeland, he never spends a lot of time in a country that he was granted a green card in, because he just feels like a complete outsider. He can still speak fluent English, but it's just that, you know, he doesn't have his job, he doesn't have, like, you know, his friends and everything. He's like very lonely and all that. And Syria is like the only country where he feels like he's somebody. When he's outside of Syria, he feels like he's nothing. And he actually had some problems with my my other uncle. He's not my biological uncle. He's like he's the husband of my biological aunt. I don't know how you refer to it, but he has some issues with him and stuff, so they don't really get along. He feels like an outsider and stuff, so he just never belonged in that country. And Syria is like the only country he feels belong in, so that's why he spends more time in Syria than in that Western country. And what I'm just afraid of is that because he spends more time in Syria than in the other country, what if another false chemical attack happens and they, like, launch Tomahawk missiles in Damascus? And then, like, you know, because he lives in Damascus, so, and then, like, you know, the attacks happen and the terrorism, like, flourishes and stuff, and he might get killed in these airstrikes. Or he may not get killed, he'll survive, but Syria will be completely destroyed. It would turn into Libya 2.0 to the point where, you know, he can't go back to Syria. He'd be stuck in whatever in the Western country that he's in, and he would never return to his own country that he feels a part of, and that would contribute to significant problems in his life. And I'm just afraid that he might consider suicide if he, you know, if his country was destroyed and he can't come back to it anymore. Because Syria is the only country where he feels like he's somebody. When he goes back to that Western country that gave him a green card, he doesn't feel like anything, you know? So that's what I'm afraid of. Like, that's why the foreign policy issue is like deeply important to me, because I have like an uncle who lives in Syria, you know, and I know a lot about Syria. I value that country. If anything happens to the country that I love, and if my uncle, like, he either gets killed or he dies by suicide because of what happened in Syria, then I don't know what I'm gonna do anymore. You know, I'm gonna just feel deeply depressed. That's it. Fucking do that. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. Is that I just hope things are alright and stuff, and, you know, nothing bad happens to him or to Syria. Because I don't know if Trump might be as restrained as before. I mean, of course, better than the devil you know than the angel that you don't know. That's why I'm more for Trump winning re-election than Biden, because I don't know if Biden's gonna be as like peaceful as Trump. He might not. He probably might not. You know. And even if he was, what about his running mate? I don't know if his running mate's gonna be as peaceful. So who knows? And the thing is, though, is that maybe they might get away with attacking Syria because with the coronavirus happening and it's damaging the economies, particularly in Iran and Russia. Like, they may view Syria as a lost cause and they would turn their backs and they can basically attack Syria with no consequences whatsoever. So it's like, yeah, we avoided World War III, but, you know, that was because of the virus damaging the economies of the world superpower to the point where they're like, okay, we won't get involved. I mean, now, of course, like, what about Biden expanding NATO? I mean, even if their economy is crap in Russia, I think that could provoke a response to them, you know? I don't know. Probably might, even with a bad economy. I'm talking about Syria in particular, not like NATO expansion, you know? It's the fucking president of Ukraine. He could ask for NATO membership and they would give it to him. And that's really bad. I'm against that. I know Ukraine might be in danger of being taken over by Russia, but that's their problem. I don't want to get into a nuclear war. So yeah, that's just what I'm afraid of. You know, I hope it doesn't happen. Like, I pray to God it won't happen either in a Trump presidency or a Biden presidency, because, you know, Syria means everything to me, and I just hope it doesn't come to that. But yeah, I mean, it's 7:05. I have to end it off here before my uncle shows up. So yeah, I'll just end it off here. So anyway, thanks for watching. I don't know if I'm going to be able to play Paper Mario or some other game, but we'll see. I don't know what I'm going to be playing because I'm going to be on vacation, so I have no idea, but I'll just say we'll see. So yeah, goodbye and stay safe. I hope things don't become as bad as they would, and I just hope everyone that's watching will be alright, and, you know, nothing horrible would ever happen to you guys. That's what I'm hoping. So yeah, God bless.